Hello, welcome. Today is St. Patrick's Day, March 30, March 17th, and it's 2021. Glad to see you. Welcome to Decatur. We are at First Christian Church of Decatur. James Brewer Calvert. My pronouns are he, his, and him, and it's an honor to be the senior pastor at First Christian Church of Decatur. Welcome home. I'm glad you're here. So, tonight we're going to talk about health and healing. We're going to take a few minutes and talk about trust and mistrust. And then we're going to do some announcements and some concerns in our community, particularly what's going on in Atlanta today. And then we'll end with a prayer by Walter Brueggemann. So, let's get right down to it. Let's talk about health and healing. One of my favorite stories in my journey is that when I was 16, back in 1976, I had an opportunity to go to Europe with a group of other teenagers and some sponsors for the summer. Well, before you could go to Europe, way back in the 70s, you had to get shots. So that spring, before the summer trip, I had a series of vaccinations. I got lots of shots. And one in particular really knocked me off my case. And the next day, I was really pretty ill, but our school had a field day where we were going to go out and play games and have some good times. And being 16 years old, I was not going to miss a day out of school in a field day with picnics and games. So we go out to the field day trip, and I was feeling so loopy that I just went and sat under a tree in the shade and did not participate. Well, my favorite teacher was a biology teacher, and she came up and she said, "James, how are you feeling? What's the matter?" And I said, "I've got typhoid." And she was like, It's true. I had a little case of typhoid because I just gotten a typhoid shot. But then it was gone in a day or two, and I was fine, and I was able to go to Europe. So we get vaccinated to get a little dose of whatever's bad so that our bodies can compensate. I'm saying it very simply, but it's a way to find health and healing. The Rotary International Club, of which I'm a part of, is very proud and humbled to be involved in ending polio around the world. We take this very seriously. And the way you end polio is you go into a village and you make sure everyone in that village gets a polio vaccine. They get the shot. And you line everybody up, and everyone in that village gets the shot. And then you go to the next village, and everyone in that village gets the shot until you get all the villages in a circle, and then you expand the circle. And so that's how we have ended polio around the world. As a matter of fact, there are only 3 pockets in the world where people are continuing to get polio, and that's in parts of Nigeria and Pakistan and Afghanistan. Why? Because the folks who live there do not trust the vaccine, and so they're getting polio. So trust the vaccine. Get vaccinated against COVID-19. I'm going to get vaccinated on Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, a week from yesterday. I'm going to drive an hour to Bartow County, wherever that is. It's somewhere in Georgia. Apologies to all the folks in Bartow. But I'm going to drive an hour to get vaccinated. And I know folks who've gone from Atlanta to Alabama and gotten vaccinated. Folks, there's like thousands of vaccines right now in Albany, Georgia. Go down there and get it. So the vaccines are here. If you're can get it in Atlanta, get it in Atlanta. Wherever you are, go ahead. Now, on my phone, I'm getting lots of pictures of people who are sending me pictures of themselves with their cards. So here's my son and daughter-in-law, Henry and Anna, and they've just gotten vaccinated, and they've got their little cards that prove that they are vaccinated. Okay. So, yay, Henry and Anna. And thank you, all the folks, for sending me your pictures. Keep doing it. I'll send you mine. It's really important that we get the word out to each other, that we continue to wear masks, that we keep socially distant, that we practice good health and hygiene, that we wash our hands, and that we get vaccinated. I know, I know that there are people in our community who do not trust vaccinations. I know that there are folks who remember the Tuskegee um, experiments on our black brothers and sisters in the testing people with syphilis. That if you give them syphilis, they will get sick. Duh. And it was a racist and awful thing to do. And I'm aware of that. I'm aware that people do not trust vaccines because they think it gives you or gives your children autism. I'm aware of that. I want to share with you something that was published in the New Yorker magazine. It was a letter by Jason Shalabeck of Cincinnati, Ohio. And he responded to an article by Lawrence Wright about COVID-19. And it was an incredible article. I highly recommend Lawrence Wright's report. And Jason Shalabeck says, I was struck by the admission in the article, by the admission of Robert Redfield, who was the head of the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, who refers to the fact that at the beginning of the pandemic, the CDC and the Surgeon General explicitly advised healthy people not to wear masks. About their about face in April, the new message seemed never to fully sink in. I'm reminded of the Lancet's publication of Andrew Wakefield's infamous study linking vaccines to autism. Even though the article was subsequently retracted, the anti-vaccine movement continues to point to its appearance in a prestigious, peer-reviewed medical journal as proof that vaccines are dangerous. It is tragic that when it comes to both vaccine-linked autism and mask ineffectiveness, the dominant misinformation began not as a conspiratist website, but rather with a seal of approval from a respected authoritative medical body. These cases underscore the grave importance of getting the message right the first time. End quote. We need to get the message right the first time. That this vaccine is effective, it's needed, and we all need to get it. We all do. You saw the same headlines I saw on my cell phone about the 50 people who showed up at the Los Angeles parking lot of Dodger Stadium and prevented hundreds of people from getting vaccinated because they did not trust the vaccine. We've got to get the word out again and again and again because we swung and we missed on masks. We swung and we missed on vaccines being connected with autism. We've swung and we missed so many times. Let's not strike out. Let's get the message right the first time. Let's get vaccinated. I'll be joining you on Tuesday. Thank you. So I want to share with you a couple announcements, and then we have a concern in Atlanta. The announcements are that our Science and Spirituality panel is tomorrow night. It's through the Atlanta Science Festival, and that's at 7 o'clock on Thursday night. On Saturday, we've got two things going on. There's a panel on the doctrine of discovery and a conversation in that about removing the cannon from downtown Decatur that was used to kill Native Americans in what was called the Indian Wars here in Georgia. Okay? So that's on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, and I'll be on that panel along with some really amazing people. Also on Saturday is our Disciples Women are having an event, and that link to that is in our e-newsletter, and that starts also at 10 o'clock. And if you need information about that, you can get that through the Georgia Disciples website. All right. Prayer concern. How many of us have been shocked and saddened by the murders of 8 people in Atlanta? Primarily Asians, primarily women, primarily by someone, whether he did it out of racism or misogyny or his own sexual hang-ups and challenges, his mental deficiencies, whatever, or illness, whatever those might be. There are hundreds of attacks on our Asian brothers and sisters in America today. They need to stop. We need to see one another as brothers and sisters of God, as children of God. It is not acceptable to blame anyone or any race or any people for the problems that we have today. It wasn't right when it was started, and it's not right now. So look out for each other. If you see someone being harassed or violated, stand up, speak up, stand out, and be present for that person. It's a communal responsibility to look out for each other. I'm going to offer a prayer from Walter Brueggemann, and I'm so glad that you are here tonight, and I love you all, and I pray for the victims, and I pray for the victor, for the one who did the killing. But I also pray for all those loved ones who lost their family members this week. Yeah. So our prayer from Walter Brueggemann is an offering of grace and hope. Let us pray. O gracious and loving God, we celebrate your steadfast love. We praise you for your mercy. We count on your faithfulness. We celebrate and praise and count on. And when the world does not work right, we find ourselves unsafe and anxious, caught up in greed and selfishness, beset by a culture of violence and threat. We wonder about the mismatch between you and your creation. Mostly we trust. Down deep, we sometimes do not. We risk truth-telling about your absence and silence and withdrawal. We do such truth-telling, telling it to you. You, absent, silent, withdrawn. You we address. You, our only hope in this world and in the world to come. May God's blessings and peace be with you now and forevermore. And I do hope to see you on Sunday. Blessings and peace. Take care. Good night.